Locals are worried that Lebanon's south will follow the same fate as Gaza as Israeli airstrikes continue to destroy villages, causing residents to flee. Tess Ingram is an Australian aid worker and UNICEF's global spokesperson. She joins us live from Beirut. Tess, good morning to you. What have you seen on your travels in and around Beirut and in the south of Lebanon?
Destruction and despair, Michael. I've spent the last 2 weeks travelling around Lebanon. I've been to the south, to the border town of Ramesh, and also to another place called Tyre, which used to be a really vibrant coastal town and is now damaged, and many people have left it. I've also been to the east, to the Bekaa Valley, and to the border crossing with Syria, where families are leaving the country in fear, trying to find somewhere safe to go. Many of them refugees from Syria who have been here for years because their own country didn't feel safe to them. So that really underscores, I think, the strife that people are in at the moment. And of course, children are being hit the hardest because every aspect of their life is being affected, from the lack of school to the impact on health systems and water points. It's really tough for people right now.
The mayor of Tyre has told the ABC, in his view, Israel is mainly attacking citizens. Would you agree with that assessment?
As a humanitarian, it's not really in my mandate, but I can tell you that I have met children in hospitals who have been severely injured by shrapnel wounds. I've met children in shelters who've been displaced after their homes were destroyed. And I've met children, as I said, at the border who are terrified and leaving the country with their families, facing a 5-kilometre walk over to Syria with sandals and backpacks and barely anything else. So children are being heavily affected at the moment in Lebanon.
How is the fighting affecting efforts by UNICEF and other aid groups to get help to those children, to those families?
Two main ways that we're facing challenges at the moment. One is getting aid in. Of course, a lot of airlines have cancelled flights into the country, which is really tricky for us to continue bringing in air freight. We're still managing a couple of planes. We had a charter flight of medical supplies a few days ago. And of course, we're using sea and land routes, but that's a challenge. And the other one, of course, is moving across Lebanon in this very perilous time. Particularly to the south at the moment, access is a bit restricted, and we're trying to reach as many children as we can. As I said, I got to some of these towns in the south, but it's becoming harder and harder.
You've spent some time in Gaza as well. In fact, Tess, we've spoken to you from there. How would you compare and contrast what you've seen in Gaza and what you've seen in Lebanon?
I think it's tough to compare these conflicts, Michael, any conflicts really, because they've got such unique contexts. But I will say that there are commonalities to be seen as somebody who's been on the ground in Gaza and on the ground here in Lebanon. You see similar visuals, a dad in the back of a truck holding his 2 children under his arm with all of their belongings stacked behind them. Hear similar stories from parents in shelters about the fear, about their worry that even in that shelter, they're not going to be able to protect their children. So there's commonalities for sure.
People watching these images, we're showing images of destruction in Beirut, in Lebanon. What can they do? How can they help?
Look, the needs here are enormous. It's gone from 200,000 people in need to 1.2 million in 8 days. And so even the most robust humanitarian response is going to be stretched by that. We had supplies here and we're rolling them out, but we're running through them really fast. So UNICEF needs support. We need the international community to mobilise behind this humanitarian effort and really help us bring in more supplies so that we can get them to the kids who need them.